Hi, my name is Rachelle Morlock, and a little bit about me. I live in Belton, Missouri with my husband and my 2 children and our sweet dog. And I would love to share my story with you. At the age of 24, God gave me that key to open the door to my heart. And it was a key that I had allowed myself to put deep, deep away in hopes I never had to open that part of my heart ever again. Because you see, at the young age of 7, until I was 12, I felt like someone's leftover trash. I felt like free bait. And I felt like I was worthless. I did not feel like I was the princess that I deserved to be. And it was very hard to process, and I know for a fact that was not God's intent. I want you guys to be very clear, because God gave man free will. And with that, I was sexually abused from the age of 7 until I was 12. And I can honestly say that even though it was very traumatizing, it's made me who I am today. Because during those attacks, I can remember, even at 7, God saying, "Sweet girl, I have you, and I'm with you, and I promise there is a purpose." At the age of 14, 2 years after it stopped happening, I had a dream, or a vision, whatever you would like to say. And I woke up. I was actually spending the night at my grandmother's house. And I looked at her and I said, "Nana, I had a dream." And I said, "And I think someone's gonna think I'm crazy." And she said, "Oh, Shelly," that's what she called me, "tell me." And I said, "Well," I said, "I was sitting on a mat and I had lots of little kids around me." I said, "But they weren't speaking English. I had no idea what they were speaking. I was wearing a skirt and the kids had no shoes on, and it was ridiculously hot. And I was reading a book. I was reading a book about God's love, but it was not the Bible. It was actually a story picture Bible or book." And I started looking through it, and I was like, in my head. And for whatever reason, I remember in this dream that it was a book about God showing his love towards human. And I told my grandma that, and she's like, "Well, you better not forget that. God gave you that dream for a reason." And I want to fast forward to where I am sitting here now, and it sounds crazy, but that book, that dream, opened the door to where I am now. And at the age of 24, again, see, I told you I had to go back just a little. When God started to open that door of my heart with that key, he also started to open my door to the love of missions. And I began searching for applications, different jobs within ministries. I had nowhere of experience. I had no idea what I was doing. And let's be honest, the Google and internet is not what it is today. And I applied for 3 different jobs, and I got accepted to one. And God called me to move to Senegal, West Africa. can I be honest with you? I had no idea where that was in Africa. I also didn't realize that Africa was 7.5 times bigger than America. And it was like about 6 months after filling out that application that I boarded an airplane and left America for the first time on mission. And I spent the next 6 months in Senegal, living in this tiny, beautiful village. And I want you to know, when I mean beautiful, there was nothing beautiful on the grass, because there was no grass, but it was beautiful on the inside of the women and children I got to get to know. And that dream I told you about became real. And I have a picture, and I'm sitting in the dirt. I'm reading a book about God's love, all those things, down to the very fine detail of what I had at 14 was happening. And in that moment, though, it did not dawn on me until I returned to America. And I got all my pictures developed. And I started looking through. And I looked at that one and I grabbed it. And I called my Nana, my grandma, and I said, Nana, you're never going to believe this. Ever. And I said, do you remember me telling you a dream when I was 14? She's like, well, sure. And I go, no. That dream that I had when I was at your house on the couch. And I said, Nana, God's calling me to do something, but I just don't know what it is. And I was sitting on a rug outside, and she's like, yes. And I said, here you go. And I held up that picture, and she was blown away. She's like, oh my goodness. And that book that I was reading to them meant even more, because it was a book about not just God's love for human, it was God's love for animals that were in the ocean, animals that swim, animals that flew, animals that slithered, animals that walked on land. And the very last page was the page of God's love for us. But the one person I thought that was against me is the one person that gave it to me. And that was my stepfather. Right before I was about to board the plane to leave for Senegal, he said, Shelly, I need to give this to you. And it was the book. And the very first page of that book, he left a note. And I don't remember it word from word right now, but it said, Shelly, I am so proud of the woman you've become. And I'm so grateful that I can be a part of your life, a part of your story. And I was blown away. And the thing is I did not read that note until I had gotten on the airplane. So, from that dream, when I was 14, God was tugging on my heart before I even knew it. And here's the thing, I'm 36 years old now. And as I reflect and just think about all the times God called me, God spoke to me, God brought people in my life, God used a book, He showed me through a dream, and that picture that I now have hanging on my wall, He never stopped. He never stopped calling me. He was waiting. And One of the things that I think of too is many people, I just had this conversation with someone. When you feel like God's not standing next to you and walking beside you, those are the moments when he's carrying you, like the footprints in the sand. And I am so grateful that he never gave up, because that little 7-year-old, that little 7-year-old that was being sexually abused by people that she thought loved her, never would think that at the age of almost 30 years later, I would be sitting here saying, sweet girl, Jesus knew what he was doing, because now I have the opportunity to look at women every single day here in America and throughout Southeast Asia over the last 12 years and in Africa, and say, sweet girl, sweet teenager, sweet woman, sweet mama, sweet grandma. I know, whether it's being able to say it to them in their native language, or being able to say it in English, or being able to say it just by touching their heart, literally with my hand, I can say I've been there. And I don't think I would be able to touch their heart in the way I have if I had not gone through I feel like someone's leftover trash and I feel like free bait. Because my story he's saying today is the story I never would have thought in the next chapter of my life, which is where he has me now. A nonprofit called Bloom International that began with 44 women deep in the jungles of northern Thailand, and now serving over 4,000 women throughout Asia and here in America. And we are getting ready to hopefully launch in Mexico and in Africa. So that's a little of my journey. And each of us have a story or a chapter that maybe we've not gotten past. But if you look at Ecclesiastes in general, the individual that wrote it, he wrote it with hurt, he wrote it with joy, he wrote it with pain. But Ecclesiastes chapter 3, if you've never got to look at it, it talks about there's a season for everything. And there truly is under the sun. And everything is meaningless if Christ is not at the center of it. The song that has been paired with my testimony of where God had me in the beginning is by Daigle, You Say. And those words, every single word is imprinted on my heart now. When I have a bad day or I'm at a full day of work, I put my headphones in and I blare that song for 6 to 7 hours. And it's kind of funny because my husband's like, oh my gosh, find another song. I know he doesn't say it too personally, but that is the only song I work to. And in those moments when I did not want to get on my knees and surrender, and then when I finally did surrender, Lauren talks about that in that song, in surrendering your life to Christ. So I hope that you enjoy that song, and that whatever you're going through, Even if it's just one word that catches you, I hope that that word will allow you to surrender and give everything over to Christ. And I want you to know, sweet girl, you are not alone in this battle. There are people in your life that want to help you. And if you can say, Rachelle, I have no one, reach out to me. I would love to stand beside you. Thanks.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just a sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. You say I am loved when I can't feel a thing, and you say I'm strong when I think I'm weak, and you say I am held when I am falling short, and when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, yes, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing, and you say I'm strong when I think I'm weak, and you say I'm held when I am falling short, and when I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours. And I believe, yes, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe. Taking all I am and now I'm laying it at your feet. You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory. Oh.